Hey guys, it's Joanna, and it has been a while since I've posted because I've been super busy this month of October. I've had a lot of work, a lot of travel for work, a little bit of travel for fun, and that's why it's been a while. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen that I was in New York, Santa Monica, LA, Orange County, and then also went to Yosemite for a long weekend, and it was fantastic. I love our national parks. Thank goodness for Theodore Roosevelt. Anyhow, today's video is going to be Get Ready With Me. I'm just going to be sharing with you some of the things I have been listening to, the podcasts in particular. I haven't really been doing any audiobooks of late. I mean, probably I have since the last time I did one of these, which has been a while, but have not really been doing any in the last couple of weeks. But I have been really enjoying a few podcasts, so I'm going to share that with you. Also, I know I said I was going to do these over IGTV. Obviously that has not panned out. I'm a total IGTV fail, but I have been being a little bit better about just posting on Instagram in general. So let's get into today's little Get Ready With Me. I'm going to do basically the makeup that I've been doing with my travel. So this is my little travel bag. I'm just going to be using everything that's in here, and you can see it is so simple, so fast. And right now my skin is already prepped with skincare. I have sunscreen on. I just am wearing the CeraVe SPF 30 AM sunscreen slash moisturizer today because it's one of those days where I'm just looking for 2-in-1 type of products, you know? Okay, let's get into it. So I'm gonna start off with the foundation that I brought with me on my recent travels, and that is the Dior Skin Forever foundation. And this is, if it focuses, this is probably not the best travel friendly foundation just because it is in this heavy glass bottle, but I just like this for kind of travel use, because often when I travel my skin is unpredictable, and usually what that means is it ends up being dry. So I want a foundation that I know is going to be very moisturizing, and this one does a nice job. It's definitely not drying. I would normally in this situation probably just bring a tinted moisturizer. However, I had been having some breakouts, as you can probably see, and therefore I needed something with a little bit more coverage. So this was what I ended up bringing, and it turned out to be great. I just use a tiny little bit of it on my trouble areas. It is, I would say, medium to high coverage. For those of you who are really used to high coverage products, you're probably gonna think this is not high coverage enough, but for me, I think this is like the max coverage that I would want. I just don't like products that are a lot heavier than this, you know? And okay, so in terms of what I have been listening to, Serial, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with, the podcast Serial, is back for its 3rd season. I know a lot of people were not that impressed with the 2nd season. I personally didn't love the 2nd season. It wasn't a topic that I was as interested in, but this 3rd season has been fantastic. If you deleted your subscription to it on your podcast app because of, it not living up to your former expectations, you should definitely give it a try now and listen to the latest season. It is basically like real life Law and Order, or real life The Wire, insofar as Sarah Koenig is pretty much stationing herself for a year at a Cleveland courthouse and just kind of reporting on all of the cases that come in and out. And it's such a enlightening view of our judicial system for the everyman, I would say. And in this case, the everyman predominantly is black. Unfortunately, that is the world that we live in, but it's just a fascinating look at the system, how it works, the kind of power and influence that, individuals can have in the system. So the importance of the judge, the importance of the prosecutor, and why some of the things that happen the way they happen, like why sometimes people are charged with 20 different charges when it was a fairly minor infraction, and how these things are kind of designed to manipulate the situation. I mean, I just, it's again Law and Order in real life. It's definitely not Sam Waterston kind of being a fair DA. it's a lot of, I would say, unfairness, but it's just, it's great. I highly recommend it if you're at all interested in our legal system. It is a great podcast to listen to. Okay, I'm just gonna do a little dusting of powder. This is my Maybelline Fit Me powder. I have used this for for a long ass time now. That's on the other eyes. I have been using this kind of 2-in-1 blush slash highlighter in the Burt's Bees All Aglow little cream blush thing here. This was, I think I just got this at Target. It's super inexpensive and very nice. It's like, the center of it is, it's also, it can be used for lips, but the center you can see is kind of that like translucent creamy white color. That is coconut oil, and it gives you just a natural like glossy finish, which I really like, as opposed to kind of highlighters that can, you know, be very metallic or shiny looking. So this is just a very natural looking gloss to the skin. Okay, so the other podcast that I have been loving is More Perfect, and I've talked about More Perfect before as well. This is probably lesser known rather than Serial, which I think most of us probably know if you listen to podcasts at all. But More Perfect is from the creators of Radiolab, which is another great radio show and podcast. But More Perfect specifically is about the Supreme Court, and it's been, I believe, 3 seasons now. It's in its 3rd season as well. And I'm not getting into like the whole Kavanaugh thing, that's like a separate thing, but I do want to talk about this podcast because it is about the Supreme Court, and the 1st season was great. It was like all about these, you know, seminal cases and how the Supreme Court operates and how basically, you know, how their decisions and how much impact it has on our lives, right? So I thought this is just in general a really great podcast. This current season is a little bit different than its usual, because this season is focused on going through our amendments. So it's going through the Constitution and the 27 amendments. And they actually created and asked musicians to create songs for each of the amendments, which I thought was super clever. But each episode basically covers like a few different amendments, how they came to be, what they mean, how we should interpret them, and some background on it. And it's just a fascinating lesson in kind of US history, again, our legal system. But the one that I just want to for sure recommend you guys listen to is the one, I don't know which episode it is now, but it's the one on the 19th Amendment, or it included the 19th Amendment. And for those of you who don't know, the 19th Amendment is the women's right to vote. And this was a fascinating story and history lesson, which I probably did learn at some point in high school, but it's been a long time since I've been in high school, so I certainly didn't remember. And I just found it to be like so interesting. But before I jump into why, I'm just gonna quickly say, so I'm just gonna do like some contour now for my nose using my favorite here, the Kevin Aucoin palette, Contour Book Volume 2. I love this stuff. Okay, so anyhow, with the women's right to vote, for those who don't know the history lesson here, first, you know, the suffrage movement had been going on for a long time before the 19th Amendment was ratified in 1920. And in fact, back in 1870, there was the 15th Amendment, which was which basically gave former slaves the right to vote. And you know, during that time, back in 1870, you know, the women suffragists were also very much pro the 15th Amendment, because it was just assumed that, you know, if we're going to make this amendment that allows former slaves to vote, then obviously it also kind of should just naturally also be including all women as well, right? It kind of just created a more even playing field for everyone, allowing everyone the right to vote. Unfortunately, it was a huge disappointment, and in 1870 they kind of changed the language at the last minute and basically gave women the boot from that. So the 15th Amendment is only applicable to men. No surprise there. Men. I'm just kidding. But anyhow, it was I don't think I realized or internalized how much time passed between that and then when the women's right to vote finally was passed in 1920. I mean, 50 years, right? You think you're gonna get one thing, and to think a lot of the women who back in the 1800s were fighting for this probably never got to live to see the day when the women's right to vote was finally ratified. So it's, yeah, I mean, sometimes things change fast and sometimes they take a long time. So in 1920 was again finally when the amendment was put forward. The language was accepted. It was submitted for ratification in 1919, and basically with the amendments, once they're written and kind of accepted, there's another whole process. In order to become an amendment, you have to get it ratified by the majority of states, which, again, I didn't actually recall this, so I didn't know kind of all of this history. But when it came to the 19th Amendment and getting ratified by the states, there were, of course, many states who immediately granted it, but then there were also states that definitely were against it, and then there were just a few kind of swing states, and ultimately it came down to Tennessee. Again, it's just, you think about how things could have gone so differently in this vote in Tennessee to whether or not ratify this amendment. It came down to pretty much 50-50, and in fact, by the last minute, the vote was pretty much guaranteed that it was going to reject this amendment, and basically women would not get the right to vote, it would not be passed, it would not be ratified into law, etc., etc. But at the last minute, just one person decided to change his vote, and the story about why he changed his vote and the kind of history there was just kind of a really cute, cool story. And it was just, I don't know, to think that it all rested on this one vote, and once he made his vote and made his change, it gave other people more freedom to also vote how they truly felt, and ultimately it was ratified in Tennessee with a majority rather than a very close, like 50-50 kind of split. So it's just, I don't know, it was a great little history lesson and really made me appreciate again how difficult it is that these rights that we have been won. And so it felt especially relevant to mention this given that the midterm elections are very soon, and whoever you choose to vote for, that's your prerogative, but I sincerely hope that you will make sure you're registered and go out there and vote, because it is such a valuable right to have, if you know, and so many people fought for those rights, and so many people continue to fight for that right across the world. And so to have it here and have it be available to you is such a luxury that you can't afford not to use it. The other thing I will say also is, even if you're in a state where you're like, you know, this election is crap because it's a two-party system and the candidate I want to win is not going to win, or similarly, if you're in a state where the candidate you want to win is obviously going to win because of just the demographics of that state, you should still go cast your vote, because it's powerful to see, win or lose, what the people want, right? Like, you know, it sucks that so few people participate in this system. And even if you think that the system is going to go one way or not, you should still represent yourself and represent that vote. So you should vote regardless of where you live. And so yeah, More Perfect was great. You should definitely check out the podcast, listen from the beginning. And also this season, like I said, that episode particularly on women's suffrage, I just thought was really compelling, especially for me as a woman. Okay, so basically what I've done is just a little bit of foundation, a little bit of powder, that cream blush, some contour. I used, again, the same Kevyn Aucoin palette, which has like everything great for travel, to just do a little bit of eyeshadow as my underline, or sorry, as my eyeline. And now I am going to use this awesome product. This is the Lime Crime Bushy Brow. I got this via Influenster. If you guys are not familiar with Influenster, it's an app and website where you can basically take surveys and get sent products to try out. So you don't have to have a big following to participate on Influenster, so I highly recommend Yeah, you check it out if you're not familiar with it already. But I was very happy to get this Lime Crime Bushy Brow set. One is the gel, one is this really cool marker product. It's like, oh, why didn't they do this sooner? It's basically, if you're familiar with like those eyeliners that are kind of in a marker, this is what this is. And I have this in the color Dirty Blonde. Obviously my hair is far from dirty blonde, but I just prefer for these eye pencil type of products to have a color that is super neutral and on the light side, because I don't like to have dark clownish eyebrows. So I'm just gonna use this and super precisely just draw a few hairs to represent my eyebrows. Love it, guys. I think this is such a great product. I'm a big fan. I mean, I still really love the, you know, if you're looking for this kind of fast way to do your eyebrows, the other one I love, of course, is the, what is it called? NYX. The NYX pencils as well in Dirty Blonde or Dark Blonde or whatever it is, I also really love, but this one is a little bit like this marker. You can really draw on like a super precise little line, and it feels like it like stains your skin a little bit better than, for example, if you were to use an eyebrow pencil, which shifts a bit. So I was using this when I was hiking around Yosemite and I didn't notice that it, you know, budged, so I loved it. And then just to kind of hold all of those hairs in place, this Bushy Brow Gel is, I also have this in Dirty Blonde. And blah, 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 brush, brush, brush. Like, this brow gel is fine. It's nothing super special. I would say it's, you know, I wouldn't say it's any significant difference versus my Lancome brow gel or other brow gels I've used. But I think this precision pen, the Bushy Brow Precision Pen marker thing, is fantastic. Love it. Okay, so I think the last thing I'm gonna do is just curl my lashes. I'm not using Lashify today, obviously, and put on a little bit of mascara, and then we'll be done. So this is the Shu Uemura lash curler, which is my favorite lash curler. It's the only one that doesn't pinch my eyelids some way, some form, because like I've said before, my face is quite flat. If you are Asian, typically, you might have experienced this as well, where products will pinch your eye area just because they're designed for a more three-dimensional shape. And sorry, I'm just using this No. 7 Lash Impact Ultra Mascara. I don't have anything really to say about this mascara. It's fine. Yeah, I just had it in my little travel bag to use up, so that's why it's getting used. I mean, I think the formula actually is fine. It's like, you know, on the above average side, but I don't like the brush. It kind of can get messy and get all over my eyelids. Okay, last but not least, I'm just gonna use a little bit of lip balm. And there you go. That's basically how I've been doing my makeup in the last couple of weeks that I've been out of town. Super easy. Takes me literally 5 minutes because, you know, when you have to wake up early in the morning sometimes, like, who has the energy to be spending an hour on makeup, right? Okay, I'm gonna go kind of just blow dry my hair finally, and I'll be out of here. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.